What is up, good people? Jungle Link here. Hope you're doing well. I'm joined by my AI co-host Alex. We're going to go over a story we just saw. You had David Schwartz, and he said RLUSD, the new stablecoin, it's not going to be minted directly to retail, just to institutions. And at first I'm like, oh no, here we go again. But I think he's just kind of messing with us, stirring the pot. Because as he brings up in a later tweet or a later post, you don't get USDC from Circle either, or you don't get Tether, direct. We get it from other institutions. What do you say, Alex? Is he just kind of stirring the pot here? Is this a statement about nothing at the end of the day?
Yeah, it feels like David is definitely stirring things up, but in reality, it's a statement about nothing too dramatic. His point is just about the distribution method. Ripple isn't minting RLUSD directly to retail, but that doesn't mean retail can't access it. Just like with USDC or Tether, we'll still be able to get RLUSD through exchanges or platforms. I think he's just reminding us how the stablecoin game works, but it's not the big deal it first sounded like. What do you think? Storm in a teacup?
Well, I think the big deal is here to be successful. Ripple's going to have to work with exchanges. We got to get that stable coin listed. I think it's so important to get it out there, get it used, and get it adopted. And I don't want to hear it's just for institution stuff. I want regular folks using that stable coin for practical purposes. I think that's how we eventually get to mass adoption here and get a lot of use case here from the stable coin. You know, a lot of things in the past, Ripple's failed to do that. They got to get this done.
Absolutely, Jungle. Mass adoption is the key, and you're right. Ripple has to make sure RLUSD gets listed on major exchanges so it's easily accessible for everyone. It's not enough to just target institutions if we want to see real use cases like payments or DeFi. Getting retail on board with practical everyday uses is what's going to drive that adoption. If they don't make it available to the general public through exchanges, it risks staying niche. And we've seen that with past Ripple products. They've got to hit the mark this time if they want RLUSD to really take off.
Let me ask you this, Alex. What's involved here? Do you have to pay exchanges to list your stablecoin? Do you have to build up some organic demand and show there's a lot of users? Like, what's the pathway to success here for Ripple to actually get that stablecoin out there and in use?
Good question, Jungle. There's a mix of factors involved in getting a stablecoin like RLUSD listed and adopted on exchanges. 1. Exchange listings. Typically, there's a process to get listed on an exchange, and sometimes projects do have to pay a listing fee. But for a big player like Ripple, it's less about paying fees and more about relationships. Ripple will need to negotiate with exchanges, show that RLUSD is reliable, and that it meets any regulatory requirements in different regions. 2. Liquidity. Exchanges want to see liquidity and demand for the coin, so Ripple will likely need to work with market makers or provide incentives for trading pairs to ensure there's enough volume. The more liquidity, the more attractive it is for an exchange to list. For use cases, organic demand is crucial. Ripple needs to show that RLUSD has real-world use cases beyond just being a stablecoin for institutions. Whether it's payments, DeFi, or cross-border transactions, the stablecoin needs to be used widely to gain traction. For regulation, regulatory approval is also key. Exchanges are very cautious about stablecoins, especially in the US, given the scrutiny from regulators. Ripple will need to make sure RLUSD complies with regulations to avoid any hurdles. So to succeed, Ripple needs to get RLUSD onto exchanges, ensure there's liquidity and demand, and most importantly, make sure there's a strong use case for retail adoption. What do you think? Can they pull it off this time?
They should. It sounds like they got all the regulatory things in line. This should be a trusted stablecoin. It should be a very usable stablecoin. It should be a world-class experience here. I'm understanding they're supposed to be launching soon, so I guess we'll just sit back and see what they do. Hopefully, they knock it out the park here, because I think this is a big test. Can Ripple, envision the future, launch, and have success? They sure did it in the past. We've had some failures here. This is their chance to get back on track.
I'm with you, Jungle. This is Ripple's big moment to prove they can still innovate and execute on a grand scale. They've got the regulatory pieces in place, and with RLUSD, they have a real shot at setting a new standard for stablecoins. It's like you said, this has to be a world-class experience for both institutions and retail users. If they get this right, It could restore a lot of confidence and push them back into the spotlight. Fingers crossed they deliver and knock it out of the park this time.
Let me know what you think down below. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link. Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome, Jungle. Always a pleasure. Let's see how this plays out with Ripple. Exciting times ahead. Looking forward to the next one.